Hey guys, it's Brian here. New episodes of the show return on January 7th. In the meantime, we're replaying some of the best. This time, a conversation with Sandrelle Aguirre, who was overcoming personal issues as she planned her solo Rim2Rim. Enjoy.
I've never felt more comfortable or more excited, happy, comfortable. I mean, I had no worries.
Rim2Rim, solo at 53.
Gosh, I'm really here. I'm really doing this. It just felt like magic.
It's the story of Sandrelle Aguirre, who's recently found the light on the other side of personal darkness.
I think the clarity that you get when you a solo hike is like nothing else.
Hey there, Canyon lovers. My name is Brian Special, and this is the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show presented by Bright Angel Outfitters. Our mission at Bright Angel Outfitters is to help you have your best possible experience in the Grand Canyon, and we do that through free content like this show and the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude YouTube channel and our brand new Grand Canyon Shade Tracker, which lets you plan exactly when and where you'll run into shade on your hike, no matter the route, no matter the day. It's a vital tool in the warmer months when the direct sun can just destroy your hike. Check that out at brightangeloutfitters.com or gcshadetracker.com. And for canyon-themed t-shirts, hoodies, and sweatshirts, including a Rim2Rim collection, the famous Victor Vomit tee, and designs featuring canyon landmarks like Phantom Ranch, Ooah Point, Ribbon Falls, and much more, please have a look at brightangeloutfitters.com. And now, on to the show. Sandrelle Aguirre grew up loving the idea of adventure. Her parents were both PE teachers, so they raised an active family. But hiking wasn't in Sandrelle's repertoire until later in life, and her budding Grand Canyon obsession only began in the last 2 years or so, inspired by some of Sandrelle's darkest hours, starting with a failing marriage and a forced move from her home in Salt Lake City to Kanab, Utah, a mecca for those who love the outdoors.
I had decided to get a divorce and end my relationship. And at the time, my ex-husband was going to let me stay in the house we were in. I had a little farm, and I was really excited to get to keep all my horses and my chickens and just my nice little life on my farm there. But he changed his mind and wanted all the equity out of the house right away. And so I had to make some decisions. And I went to bed in tears one night. And the next morning I woke up and I said, Southern Utah. I'm going to go to Southern Utah. I love it there. I have horses, and so the hiking and horseback riding is just Disneyland for people like me. And so that ended up being the place that picked me.
But it wasn't as simple as just picking up and moving. Getting to Kanab required what Sandrelle now believes was intervention.
While all of this was happening, my best friend had been diagnosed with leukemia, and she was getting ready to go home on hospice, and she was not doing well. And I had found a house in Kanab that was on 2.3 acres, and it was just going to be perfect for me and my dogs and my horses. But the problem was there was already an offer on it, and not only that, there was already a backup offer. And so I thought, well, that house is taken. But something inside of me just kept saying, that's your house. That's your house. That's your house. So I said, okay, I'll go with the feeling. I don't know how I'm going to make this work. And so I told my best friend, who later ended up passing away, and I said, I really feel like this house is mine, but I don't know how I'm going to get it. And she said, don't worry, I'm going to help you from the other side. Oh. And so what ended up happening is, she didn't get to see that come to fruition while she was here on this earth. But she really did help me from the other side. And I don't know how it all worked out, but the financing fell through on the first offer. And then the person that had the backup offer in had a medical emergency basically and couldn't do it. And so the house that I knew was supposed to be mine became mine.
Wow.
And I know that my friend Nicole helped me and helped me land in this most beautiful, um, amazing city. Yeah, I love it here. It's been a big healing journey for me since my best friend passed away and since getting a divorce. And I moved here knowing nobody. I did not know anybody. I did not know a soul that lived here. I just knew this place was calling me, and it was where I belong.
You uproot your life, you move from Salt Lake City to Kanab. You're in the place where you basically dreamed of being. And then, after being there only a few months at that time, this idea for hiking rim to rim at the Grand Canyon was born. Where'd that come from?
When I want to say probably my late teens, early 20s, I had just a passion for reading about adventure and hiking. And I started reading about Everest and just these amazing people who had these crazy dreams that were making things happen. And I was like, I wonder if I could ever make, some amazing dreams happen like for me like that. But I actually got really overweight at the end of high school, like kind of into college. I had gained a lot of weight. And so I kind of put a lot of limitations on myself about what I, could do physically. And so that was kind of in the back of my mind. It's like, oh, these people are living their dreams and they're so fit and healthy. And so that was always kind of in the back of my mind. Like, I need to get fit and healthy, to do like these things and accomplish these things. So super fast forward to 2018 when I was like the heaviest I'd ever been, actually. I've lost 100 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was the heaviest I'd ever been, and I just from a culmination, of things, but an unhappy marriage and other things, just like lots of emotional eating and not really taking care of myself. And I was approaching 50 and I was like, what am I doing? What am I doing? And I set myself up for getting healthy and losing the weight. And in that time, I had learned about horseback riding safaris in Africa. So doing a safari in Africa had always been a dream of mine, always. I was like, I'm going to make that happen. And then I thought, when I'm in Africa, that's an amazing place to be. I remember reading about Mount Kilimanjaro. I remember reading about it. And so all these thoughts like started coming back to me about like the books I read on Everest and the passion for like hiking and wanting to do some, grand adventures and things like that. So I started losing the weight and I started hiking. And I just thought for my 50th birthday, I am giving to myself this horseback riding safari and climbing Mount Kilimanjaro.
Kilimanjaro is one of the great bucket list hikes in the world. The tallest mountain in Africa, Mount Kilimanjaro towers 19,341 feet above Tanzania, and summiting requires a guide and anywhere from 5 to 9 days to cover the 40 to 45 miles because of the need to adjust to the altitude. For Sandrelle's group, things took a turn on summit day when they noticed a wildfire in the distance.
I thought the toughest thing that day I was going to do was summit Mount Kilimanjaro. So I get back to base camp and they say, we have to leave now because the fire's coming in and it's not looking good. We have to leave now. So we start descending, and as we're walking through just burning ash, like it's not on fire at the moment, but it had been like, it's all smoking like embers, and you're walking through and you're just breathing in smoke. And we get to the camp that we were supposed to stay at, and they said, it's too dangerous to stay. You have to leave. And at this point, I knew I was going to lose toenails. My knees were killing me. At that point, I ended up descending almost 14,000 feet in one
Whoa.
like swoop. I did lose 4 toenails after that. I had stopped multiple times and started crying. And the guy that was kind of stuck with me, I would say, he just wanted to get out of there. And I was like, leave me. Like, I don't care. I was super mad. I was just like, I'm walking this on my own. I'm doing this. Like, if I'm not walking fast enough for you, whatever, but I've never descended 14,000 feet in one, like, I would rather go. I kept saying, I would rather be summiting again right now. This is so painful because just like the Grand Canyon, there is just one way, one trail. Like, you can't get off trail, and it's uneven steps, and it's big steps and small steps. It's very uneven ground. So that's a very similar thing for that on the way down. And we were 1 mile, I think, from the gate. And my guide said, there's a van pulling up. He can take us. And I was like, no, that's for sick people and people who can't walk. I said, I've done this far. I am not cheating myself out of the last mile. I'm not getting in a van to arrive at the gate in the last mile. He was not happy with me at all because he had to stay with me. But yeah, so I was like, no, I was more proud of that moment of me doing that than I was of my summit. After that, I was like, I can do anything. That leads me to, I did this great, amazing thing in 2022. What am I going to do in 2023?
The answer, as you've probably guessed, is Rim2Rim. Even though Sandrelle had lived most of her life within driving distance of the canyon, and even though she and her friend Nicole had taken frequent girls' trips to ride their horses in southwest Utah, and even though she now lived in Kanab, less than 2 hours from the North Rim, she'd never been inside the park.
I had never been to the Grand Canyon. I had never thought about climbing the Grand Canyon. And that's crazy. I was born and raised in California. And after I did it, I actually talked to my mom and I was like, hey, how come we never went to the Grand Canyon when I was a kid? I was like, everybody goes to the Grand Canyon. And we did so many other things. I think we just ended up visiting family a lot in different states and things like that. But yeah, so it wasn't even on my radar. And then I started, researching it, and I was just like, oh, Rim2Rim is going to be my big adventure this year. I mean, I guess there's lots of different reasons why people do it, but I needed something. I needed something to focus on. I needed something to train for, and something to put my effort into.
Sandrelle's perfect plan involved a 2-day Rim2Rim, including a night at Phantom Ranch. But as she'd soon find out, reservations at Phantom can take a significant amount of energy and a lot of luck to secure.
Could I have done Rim2Rim in one day? Yes, I could have. But I didn't feel like it was going to be the best thing for me. And so I was like, if I can get a night at Phantom Ranch, then I'm going to do that in 2 days. I had looked at the video, see pictures of Ribbon Falls, and I was like, I want to look at the stars at night, and I just want to take it all in. Like, I don't want to rush through it. It's not a thing that I need to rush through.
Thanks for making the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show the #1 Grand Canyon-related podcast in the world. We'll be back in January with a new season of tips, tricks, and most importantly, your stories about what it takes to have a successful hike in one of the most spectacular places in the world. In the meantime, the conversation never stops in our Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Facebook group, a vibrant community of canyon crazies out to help you have your best possible experience in the canyon. It's the only place you'll have daily access to Brian and just about every guest you've ever heard on the show, and they're all here to help. It's totally free, so join today and enter the world of the Canyon Obsessed.
So I stalked the Phantom Ranch reservations page. I think people feel like it's overwhelming, but literally, if you check it like 4 times a day, it's like a total of 5 minutes. Like, it takes 1 minute to go through and see if something's open. So I was amazed at how many days I found open. Of course, a lot of them were in the heat of the summer, which I didn't want to do. So in my mind, this is another thing. I think just like how this house became my house, I was like, I'm going to go on October 15th. October 15th is going to work for me. Like, that's the date that I'm going to pick. And I feel like a room is going to open at Phantom Ranch for me. And it did.
So how did you decide that you were going to train and get yourself ready for such a challenge?
So I told you I lost a lot of weight, and that had become a baseline like fitness regimen for me. People will say, well, you can't really train, because you can't train exactly the ups and the downs, right? Or the downs and the ups
Yeah.
of the Grand Canyon. And so I thought I'm going to take my base like fitness level, and what I really need to do is focus on increasing my intensity, like the duration, the endurance and the duration of my hiking and climbing, and I need to increase the intensity. And so how can I incorporate that into the workouts that I'm already doing? So I was already doing a couple days of yoga and stretching, a couple days of weight training. I was on the treadmill every morning, and then in the evenings I would like take my dogs for like walks, or I live right, my house backs the BLM land, and I have trails right outside my house, and so I can go like hiking at that. And then I was doing hikes, but I was doing more 5-6 mile hikes, and so I thought, well, every week I'm going to increase my mileage by 5 miles, because I had like 8 weeks, I think, between that time. So I just like every morning, because I mean, a treadmill workout can be super boring and just monotonous, or it can be interesting if you do that. So I would change it up every single day. So I had a 10-pound weight vest, or I had my backpack. I would wear that. I would do incline training. I would go up and down my incline, or I would stay at like a medium incline and keep it a steady pace, or I would change my pace while I was going up and down the incline. I just tried to really, I think, was it Arnie who was talking about on one of your other episodes about creating chaos?
Yeah, Arnie, Captain
Arnie. So
Chaos.
I thought, I loved that. I love that. I was like, that's like the perfect way to put it, because you're going to run into so many different scenarios, so many different types of footing, and terrain, that yeah, I was creating chaos. I didn't know the term right then, right? I didn't know, but I thought I need to change it up as much as possible, because I don't know what it's going to throw at me. And so that's what I did. Squats, lunges. I did quite a bit of that. Yeah, just longer or more intense, or increased elevation, hikes every weekend. So those became longer on the weekends, and then just being really consistent, having a consistent fitness level, I think was really important too.
Having never hiked the canyon rim to rim before, in hindsight, what do you think was the thing that paid off the most in your training?
There's one thing that helped me the most. I decided to do a training hike down to Roaring Springs one day. I think my Rim to Rim had been coming up. It was a couple weeks out, 3 or 4 weeks out maybe. And I was like, I need to get down there and see what that feels like. I just need to see what that feels like. That was the biggest lesson and the best thing I could have done.
How so?
You just don't know what it feels like. You just don't. So Kilimanjaro is one thing, right? But because it's such high elevation, you take a lot of days. You take 7 days to do this elevation change. So, except for the last day, which I told you, a descent of almost 14,000 feet was brutal. But otherwise, you just don't know how it feels. So the best training to do the canyon is in the canyon, right? But I thought, well, there's nothing going to be harder than, I'm going to hike, down 5 miles and up 5 miles, and that's probably one of the most challenging 10 miles you could do in the canyon, from the North Rim there.
There's no substitute for having to go down first, is there?
No. And people think it's easy to go downhill, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's relentless, and it wears on your quads and your knees. And then the biggest surprise, I just felt like Brian, I was so happy for the mule trains to come through on the way, when I was coming on the way up. I was like, yes, a given break. I can take a break without having to look like I'm weak. And the mule guy, the last one, he's like, sorry, we're the last ones. You don't get any more breaks after that. My calves hurt so bad for 3 days after that. And like I said, I had been doing some intense hikes, what I thought, was like proper training, and it was great training. But nothing prepared me. And I was like, oh, in the next 4 weeks, I have some work to do. And I really went in search of off the beaten path places that would create chaos for my training, and have me in very different terrain. And walking in deep sand was really good for my calves. I was just surprised at how hard it was on my body that day. That was the big eye-opening moment. That was just a good check. Like, if you don't step it up, you're going to be hurting.
So step it up she did. And by the time October 15th rolled around, Sandrelle knew she was as ready as she could be.
And I get to the trailhead and I was like, oh, it's colder than I thought it would be. It was chilly. It was 28 degrees that morning. And my parents were so great. So I drove the car there, and then they were going to drive it back and pick me up on the South Rim the next day. So I think my mom was so worried. I was 52, right, at the time, and my mom was so worried about leaving me there by myself. So I did this solo. And I've never felt more comfortable or more like excited, happy, comfortable. I mean, I had no worries. I had seen myself in my mind, like, get it done. I felt like I had put in the preparation. Of course, anything can happen. But I felt I was as prepared as possible. I did feel like my pack was a little too heavy. Like, I could have left a few things out, but I think I was really smart in what I wore and what I did. I thought, I don't want a beanie because I think I'm going to get really hot really fast. I just have a really light puffer jacket that, that folds up small. I just had a little like thing around my ears because I knew my ears always get really cold. And I had on just a couple light layers underneath that would be easy to take off, and my trail runner. So I felt really prepared. I was a little chilly, at first, but super excited. And oh my gosh, I got there and like the sun was right as I started going down the trail, the sun was rising. Like, it was just the most beautiful thing. And I was by myself. I had the whole place to myself for so long. It was just breathtakingly beautiful. I just kept having to stop to like, oh my gosh, like, I'm really here. I'm really doing this. Like, I've watched so many videos. I've read so much about it. I've done so much training and preparation. So it just felt like magic.
What was your plan? You had no time goals or anything like that. You just knew you had to be at Phantom Ranch that evening. So what was the plan for North Kaibab to Phantom?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a runner. I mean, it's so intimidating, right? For people to look at the Facebook page and look at these trail runners and people who, track it and are doing it for time. But I would just say, just whatever you're capable of, know yourself, know your training, and then do your own hike. Like, don't worry about anybody else or anyone else passing you or, things like that. I mean, we all have a little competitive mind, I think. And so you kind of go, oh my gosh, I'm going slower or faster or whatever. But I think just, leave your ego at the door, and take what presents it to you. But I will say, I did time myself going down to Roaring Springs because I wanted to beat my time from the first time that I did it. So,
did you?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did
okay,
by 45 minutes.
Whoa.
So yeah, I that's when I said my training had really, that last 4 weeks of training really, really paid off. And I felt phenomenal. My knees were doing great. I felt really good. So my agenda was to take a lot of pictures, to look at everything around me, to appreciate like the most amazing place that I was in, and not just let it bypass me like too fast. Sit and like listen to the water and watch the birds. One thing I was really disappointed in, the only thing I will say I was really disappointed about, is I did not see a lot of wildlife. So as an animal lover, I mean, I didn't even see a rattlesnake. Like, I don't want to see it right next to my feet, but I was hoping to see the bighorn sheep and a couple other things. But
that's why you got to keep going back.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's always going to be a different experience.
Always.
And so my plan was just take it all in. I had probably the most perfect Rim2Rim that anybody could have. Weather-wise, just physicality, and just everything was aligned. The weather was perfect. It was hardly too sunny or hot, but I was in the perfect shaded areas when the sun was out, and it just the whole thing felt like magic.
And you planned on taking the side trip to Ribbon Falls too, right?
Yes. So Ribbon Falls was huge on my list, because because you don't know what life brings you, right? So I thought, well, if I never get back to the canyon, like hopefully I do it often, but if I never get back, I want to make sure I do Ribbon Falls. So the funny thing was that this poor group of guys, these guys from South Louisiana, were on their guys' backpacking trip. So, once you get a certain way into Ribbon Falls, like there's only one way. At the very beginning, you can go kind of multiple ways to get on the trail there. But once you're kind of on that trail, you're kind of stuck. And I was like, uh-oh. Like I came right behind him like, oh no, sorry guys, now you have a girl on your trip. So, because we were going to be stuck hiking together until we got there. But they were super nice. They were really generous and kind. And they even, helped me down like one of the little rocky areas. And we ended up hiking the rest of the way to Phantom Ranch together after that. Just super nice guys. And so I think that's what's really cool about going solo as well. It's great when you have a group that you want to go with, but when you go alone, you have the opportunity to sit with your own thoughts, process things that are going on in your life, and you also have opportunities to meet new people. And I think it's easier like when you're solo. To meet groups or, talk to people and things like that. So Ribbon Falls was everything I expected it to be, everything I thought it would be. So it was 28 degrees at the rim, right at the North Rim. And I'm thinking, is it going to be warm enough to get in the water? Oh yeah, it was warm enough to get in the water. So that was a beautiful experience. I think we're there for like 45 minutes or something, had a snack, just enjoyed it, got in the water, got in the little cave, that's there. Just refreshing and beautiful. So it was everything I wanted it to be.
When you come back from Ribbon Falls, then you've got the long slog basically between Cottonwood and the box where everything's really exposed. There's interesting rock formations, but it's not the most interesting part of the hike. But the box, I mean, that's pretty darn cool, isn't it?
The box is very cool. It's beautiful. I was surprised just having like the creek that runs I can't remember, is that Bright Angel Creek as well? That's through there? Okay.
Yep.
I couldn't remember if that started and stopped at a different place, but yeah, I just remember thinking, oh, the box is so beautiful. Like I just remember hearing like all the horror stories about being in there, when it's 120 degrees and people having problems. But I was like, oh, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. Yeah.
6 front pockets and pouches, an insulated hydration compartment, and now many successful Rim2Rims completed to rave reviews. Our 22-liter Rim2Rim pack is the day pack designed with the Rim2Rim hiker in mind. Check it out today and find out why it's been called Backpack Perfection. The unisex, one-size-fits-most Rim2Rim pack is available exclusively at brightangeloutfitters.com and is part of our mission to help you hike your best hike.
So it was fun. The guys were there like talking. So sometimes we'd kind of like, separate and have my own thoughts. And sometimes we'd be together and, joking and walking through there. But it was a beautiful part of the trail.
And then you get to Phantom.
Then we get to Phantom. And so at that point, I was feeling it. So at that point, I think I think it's 14 miles, right? From the North Rim to Phantom, and then taking the excursions to Ribbon Falls. It added another 2 miles. So I'd done 16 miles at that point, and I was definitely feeling, my legs were like tired. And I was like, Sandrelle, this was a very good decision that you did not try to do this all in one day. Because I really hadn't put in the training to do it all in one day. Like I said, I did want to just appreciate nature and, go to Ribbon Falls and watch the stars at night and things like that. But yeah, I was like, that was a really smart decision, not to try to do it, all at once.
I think Phantom's kind of a mythological place almost to a lot of people because it's the toughest hotel reservation on the planet, essentially.
Right.
So what is the process like? You get down there, you check in. What's the cabin like? What's that whole situation like?
Yeah. So we got there and there's a big long line. And there's only the one window open.
There shouldn't be lines at the bottom of the Grand Canyon.
Right. And at least I was like, I said, yeah, but where do the people checking in for the cabins go? I don't need the lemonade right now. I just want to check into my room. And they're like, no, it's the same line. So just for everybody to know, there's one line for everything, whether you need to check in for your cabin or you need to get the lemonade or any other like snacks or whatever else you want. There's the one window. So I waited a good like 15 minutes in line, I think. And so then they just give you your assigned cabin and give you keys. And I don't know honestly if the key to my room worked. I wasn't super paranoid about it, so but I only locked it at night when I was in there. Otherwise, I didn't because I didn't feel like the key worked when I tried it. But it could have been user error, like for sure. Yeah, that was funny. So the room I had was cabin 3, and it had a sink, and it had a separate, bathroom with the door on it, which was nice. And then there was two sets of bunk beds, so it sleeps 4. There was a couple chairs, and there's a little metal bin, that they ask you to put all your food or snacks in, so that you don't attract any of the critters. And I was happy that the light I had brought an adapter, because I knew there'd be like electric plugs and stuff, but the light that was at the bedside actually had a USB port on it. So I was pleasantly surprised. With the USB port. I was like, yeah, I brought one just in case, but that was nice to charge my GoPro. So, one of my big questions before I got there that I didn't find the information anywhere, was what time can I check in? Because when you get your notification, it says like 4 p.m. And I was like, I'm gonna be there way before 4. Like, do I have to wait until 4? No, you don't have to wait until 4. So I asked the question on the Grand Canyon, Facebook page, and everyone had said they had been able to check in early, and so that was no problem. I think some people had said they were there by 10 a.m. and got to check in, and so I think that was really helpful information. So the beds are all there. There's all the bedding. They have that, so you don't need to bring anything as far as that goes. I think one of the highlights of Phantom Ranch for me was the hot shower. Yes, they do have hot showers. That was sometimes you just have the best shower ever, right? Anyway, it was like, oh, hot shower felt so
new
good.
person, right?
Yeah, you just felt like brand new. So I did have the dinner at Phantom Ranch as well. That was really fun.
You have the stew or the steak?
I had the stew. Yeah, it was okay. I mean, it's expensive, right? And I get it's expensive to bring that kind of food down. Would I do it again? I would probably bring my own. Like, I don't eat steak, so that might be fantastic and worth the price. Like for me, if I go again, though, I'd probably skip, paying for the dinner. But that's just me. But the conversation was great. Everyone was super nice, and
everybody sits together, right? It's totally family style.
Yeah, it's family style, so everybody sits together. So actually, the lady that was sitting right across from me was also a solo female hiker, and she got, I guess there's a walk-up thing that you can also do for Phantom Ranch reservation at the last day or the same morning or something. I don't know.
Day of at Bright Angel Lodge on the South Rim.
Yeah. So that's how she got her reservation. So it was fun to talk with her about, the different preparations that we did and how we both got our rooms and things like that. The stars at night, like being able to look up at the stars at night. Oh, I just sat on the bench out there and just looked up. It was really breathtaking, spectacular.
Did you go down to the river?
Yeah. So before dinner, I did go down to the river. I have kayaked part of I have kayaked like Horseshoe Bend area of the Colorado, but I've never done the rafting, which I would love to do. But so Boat Beach is where the river rafters can park, right? Can put their boats in, and I was disappointed that I didn't see any boats at Boat Beach. But it was really quiet. It was really relaxing and really nice. I was the only one out there. There were some people actually in the water a ways away. But I kind of was between the bridges down there, and it's just spectacular when you think of the people that built, the trails and the bridges and the amount of work and effort it took for us to be able to appreciate it. I don't know. It's just some really cool moments.
So how'd you sleep that night after all that?
I slept great. Yeah. With that excursion, just because I wanted to see what it was like for me, I did another like mile and a half. So I'd done
Yeah.
17 and a half miles, and I was like, I don't remember the last time I did 17 and a half miles like in a day. That felt like a really good day's effort for me.
So when you went to bed that night, what was your plan for the next morning?
So my plan for the next morning was to get up at 5:30 and be on the trail by 6. But I don't know, it was a little bit slower than I like thought I would be, just putting everything back in my pack and trying to organize it and, all the things.
But isn't that the beautiful thing about not being in a rush and not worried about
Yes.
time and just actually
Yes.
enjoying the experience? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
I was
trying to
like,
talk myself into that. I'm trying to learn from what you did, Sandrelle, because
yeah.
I get pretty competitive. But man, it just sounds like you did it right.
I feel like I did. Yeah, I wasn't upset. I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm 30 minutes behind my schedule, but the only thing was that I knew my dad was going to pick me up on the other end, and so I had told him noon. I told him 12, 11:30 or 12. But I definitely said, if I'm a little late, don't worry. As soon as I have some reception, I'll, like let you know if I'm going to be later than that. Well, what ended up happening is everyone else had left about 6 or before. I guess people left before. Um, and when I left, like 6:30 that morning, I again had the entire place to myself. So I'm just there on the Silver Bridge and, just like twirling around on it. I don't know, dancing. I was just so like elated. I was just like, I'm down. It was like the most beautiful sunrise I had ever seen. Um,
And is
and
there
I,
anything cooler than walking across a silver bridge?
no, I'm not afraid of bridges. So I know some people are like nervous about it and think, oh my gosh, it's so long. But I was like, it's very sturdy. Like there's nothing to be worried about. Like it's very safe. I was skipping and hopping and like celebrate. I was just like, and I just stand around and I'd, like video, and I'm like, oh, this is it, breathtaking, breathtakingly like beautiful. Yeah.
So you start at 6:30. Your plans to be out by noon. What? I don't know. Just talk about what the experience was hiking up Bright Angel.
So I had already, like I said, I had watched a lot of, videos, and, people had said, don't get too confident about, after the bridge, you're going to be in some sand and then you're going to go up and like, you're going to lose that elevation. So don't be, don't be stressed about it. Like that's just going to happen. Because if you think about it, like, oh, I went up all that way and I have to go all the way back down. So I was like, I'm just going to look at it as mileage. And it is what it is, and it's all an experience, and appreciate, like I said, the different terrain.
Yeah, for those that don't know, once you cross the Silver Bridge, you're basically hiking on what's officially known as the River Trail, but colloquially you can call it the Bright Angel Trail. But it hooks up with the Bright Angel Trail about a mile
Yeah.
downriver, and you're hiking through sandy sections. If you stay just to the far sides of the trail, the sand is not that big of a deal. People seem to think it's this gigantic deal, but to me, it's a little bit overrated. If you just know how to do it and stay off to the side a
Yeah.
little bit, it's more compacted and it's not that big of a deal. But it is an awesome part of the hike because
Yeah.
you are hugging the canyon wall. The river is down there
Right
below
below
you,
you.
right next to you. You can hear the rapids. You can sometimes see the boaters going down there. You can see them camped on the other side, and that's for
Yeah.
about a mile before you turn inland. So just to paint the picture of what that's like after crossing the Silver Bridge. But then you turn inland and things start to get a little bit serious, don't they, after a little bit?
They do, but I actually didn't ever feel like any part of the Bright Angel Trail was hard for me.
Oh, good for
I
you.
Well, I'm not I'm saying like that's day 2, right? Like doing it in 2 days.
Well,
Because
still.
I would have been hurting. I would have been really hurting if I would have tried to do that all in one day. But I kept waiting for it to get hard. And
Wow.
I was like, oh, okay, it's gonna get like, it's gonna get hard. It's gonna get hard. And don't get me wrong. I mean, like, I had to slow my pace or adjust my pace. Every rest stop that I came to, like, I was like, I feel good. I don't need to stop.
No, you were
I
trained.
think,
That's what it told you. You were trained. You
yeah,
had done the work, and so it wasn't
yeah,
as difficult as it could have been.
yeah. That is true.
The Rim2Rim Hiking Club wants you. An entire collection of unique Grand Canyon hiking apparel, including our Rim2Rim Hiking Club tees and hoodies, is available exclusively at brightangeloutfitters.com. Commemorate your bucket list adventure by wearing your love of the canyon. From a full Rim2Rim collection to more specific landmarks like Uwa Point and Devil's Corkscrew, This is where you'll find something for those who are canyon obsessed. And yes, there's even a canyon obsessed design. Find it all at brightangeloutfitters.com. Bright Angel Outfitters was born out of a love of the canyon and exists to help you hike your best hike.
And I think just the awe and the wonder at every turn, it was just, oh, and then they had just started the work on the pipeline. And so I didn't know what it was yet. I thought someone was injured because I just see helicopters coming in. And so I was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to come up on? But then the ranger was there and they're like, oh, go ahead and go through. We're just going to stop, traffic on the trail for a little while. And it's just the start of that. So I think I just tried to pick out anything that was, I think being in the moment, like I wasn't focused on, I'm going to get to the top, and I was focused on what's around the next corner. What next beautiful thing can I appreciate? What's the next person I could meet? What's the next beautiful thing I could see? I don't know. I just really wanted to just be in the moment the whole time. And so I think that helped me just power through it. I really did not turn on any music or listen to anything until the last 2 miles. So the last 2 miles, I was like, you know what? I could probably use some music to pump me up a little bit. So I'm not saying it wasn't hard at all, but I never was like, oh my gosh, I never felt overwhelmed or like I couldn't do it or that it was hard that I had to stop or anything. I was just like, you know what? Music would be good right now. So I probably just turned on, some music for a little bit, and then it gets really busy, right? The South Rim is so much busier than the North Rim. And so I just thought, well, I don't need music. I'm just going to people watch and say hi to people that they're coming down and, and things like that. So, I got to the top. This might sound really bad, but okay, I'm going to tell you the truth. I get to the top and I was like, oh, I wish that would have been harder. I wish that would have been, I don't know, because I'm just telling you from my Kilimanjaro, right? I was in tears finishing, and it was just exhaustive. I gave everything because I needed to, right? I had so much left in the tank after this that I was like, oh, I need to do something more next time because that was a little too easy. All in one day would have been too hard, but splitting it up into the 2 days like that, I was like, oh, I kind of wish it was harder. I needed a little bit more of a challenge.
Today on my hike here in Cave Creek, Arizona, I saw someone, they saw my shirt. I had a Rim2Rim shirt on, and they're like, oh, that's so cool. I want to do that so bad. And I said to them, well, you've done Rim2Rim. So when you finish the Rim2Rim, did you ask yourself, could I turn around and do that all over again right now? Because that's what a Rim2Rim is. So it sounds to me, Sandrelle, like that's the next thing on your list.
I might have been thinking about that. That is probably in the works. Yes, it is. That is my plan this year.
That had to give you a lot of confidence, though, to finish a hike like that and a physical challenge like that and be like, wow, that wasn't, not to disrespect it, that wasn't so bad. I could do something more difficult than that. That had to give you a lot of just confidence.
Yeah, and I think, like we talked about earlier, there's a lot of women that are concerned about doing it alone. I think there's a lot of women who are redefining themselves or saying, I can do these, kind of cool things and these hard things. And so I just wanted to, I put out, I don't have a YouTube channel for to get followers or anything. I just have my experiences, to share. So I thought, yeah, if I could share this experience and let other women know that they're so capable, and just put in the work, just start putting in the work, and you're so capable of doing it.
I've got to ask you, on that hike, no matter where it was on the trail, there are so many incredible sights to see, and there is a lot of solitude, even when it's crowded, like it can be in the middle of October. But I just wonder, in those quiet moments, what you were thinking of, and I can't help but think you were probably thinking of Nicole a lot.
I was thinking about Nicole a lot. She was somebody who lived her life to the fullest. And I was like, it's when you lose somebody that's really close to you, it's easy to kind of close up and, grieve and kind of not want to get out of your shell and do things. But I was like, that's nobody wants that for you. Nobody who passes wants anyone to just stay in a shell and not like live their life. And Nicole was such an amazing example of that. So yeah, part of me was thinking that I was doing it for her, that I was doing it for her too, that I was doing it for myself, just working through, a lot of just a healing journey, for sure, a healing journey for what had happened, at the beginning, of the year, and just like moving, and, you just, I think, yeah, just deep reflection, and the people that you love, the people that you care about, the choices that you've made. I think you get a lot of clarity. Like a group hike is fun. Going with someone else is fun. It's fun to have the conversation, and all that. But I think the clarity that you get when a solo hike is like nothing else.
That is Sandrelle Aguirre. Our thanks to her for being so open and so vulnerable with her story, and for that detailed account of her Rim2Rim, which will no doubt help prospective Rim2Rimmers for years to come. You can follow Sandrelle's adventures through her YouTube channel at Adventures with Sandrelle. One last thing, Sandrelle was genuinely grateful to be a part of the show, and even asked me, why did you choose me? Well, Sandrelle, I think after hearing all that, we all know the answer. Well, folks, we do appreciate ratings and reviews for the show more than you could possibly imagine. I wanted to share this one from Apple Podcasts that just came in. It's from Brian B274, who writes, stumbled upon this podcast on one of the Grand Canyon Facebook groups and ended up binging the episodes, some more than once. Thank you so much for taking the initiative and creating this great resource for folks who, like me, have an affinity for the canyon and dream about experiencing it in whatever way we can get. Podcasts are a labor of love, and yours shines through in the high quality of content and presentation. Thank you again for putting these resources into the world. Much appreciated, and please keep it coming. Well, Brian B274, thank you. When I tell you that makes my day, please know that is an understatement. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Folks, please remember to check out BrightAngelOutfitters.com, which makes this all possible. Bright Angel Outfitters is a new brand that's being built by my wife and I, and we are so, so grateful for your support. We do it for the love of the canyon and to help everyone have their best possible experience below the rim, so we would be so appreciative if you would check it out. There's something there for any serious canyon lover. That is at BrightAngelOutfitters.com. That's it for now. I'm Brian Special, encouraging you, as always, to go hike the canyon. Take that first step, embrace the journey, and when you get there, whether it's for time goals or taking your time, just hike your own hike and enjoy one of the truly majestic places on Earth. We'll see you next time on the Grand Canyon Hiker Dude Show, presented by Bright Angel Outfitters.